Welcome back, you lovely people, to another video. Today we are in the Porsche Cup car around Watkins Glen. Strength of field today is 2.6k, so some very fast cars here. And this is top split, so I'm feeling very much out of my depth right now. Qualified P17 after a not so good qualifying session, so we are going to see if we can salvage any kind of result. About to go green in a second, so keep an eye on the black car right in front of us and see how he launches. As we go green, we're going to go and get a decent launch if we can. So green flag, we get a decent launch, car in front of it spins his wheels, he goes into the middle of the track and then suddenly cuts back across to block our momentum. We had to brake to get out of it to avoid any kind of accident. We're coming into P1 right now, just kind of trying to keep it clean, keeping a tight line, which is going to compromise us as we go up towards the long kind of back straight around Watkins Glen, up the hill. We get past the Sunny D car on our left. We're going to try and keep up with the BWT car in front. Wasn't really too happy with the launch, or the launch I was happy with, but the guy cutting across in front of me I wasn't very pleased about. It felt like he was blocking me, and kind of a reactionary move to the fact that I had got a better launch than he did. But it is what it is. We live with what we are given, and we have to play the cards we're dealt with. So we're catching up to the back of the pack right now and seeing if we can catch up now to the BWT car and see if we can start making some moves and something happen. Coming up towards the end of lap number 1, still cold tires, taking it a little bit easy. I'm still kind of feeling out where people are braking. I haven't done much racing in the P Cup car, so I'm just kind of seeing how things go in this opening lap and trying not to spin the car out, which is very easy to do, or lock a wheel coming into that kind of long right-hander at the end of the straight at the top of the hill, which is also very easy to do. Coming into turn number 1, braking early, turning in a little too early as well, which is going to compromise my exit, but I was very worried about getting an off track here, which is very easy to do. So this car is very easy to spin, it's very easy to get off tracks, so yeah, just one of those things where I'm just kind of keeping the car together on this opening lap and try not to have any silly mistakes. We are in P18. A couple of people have an accident. You can hear them shouting at each other over the radio, but we're going to try and see if we can avoid incidents ourselves and try and keep a nice clean race. Coming over that bump, we have to lift off the brake as we're braking, so you brake initially before that bump, you lift off and then you brake again, otherwise you're going to lock the wheels. Right onto the back of the BWT car now. I was thinking about a move here, but I didn't feel confident on the brakes. I was just showing him my nose in the mirror, brake a little early, hoping that he would out-brake himself. Brake a little early, try to get a better run out of the left-hander, and then into the right-hander. Kind of a compromised line, not the best. People are shouting at one another again, trying to work together. I'm not sure what's happening up in front. Right now I'm concentrating on my race, which I'm down in P18, kind of towards the back of the pack here, but still with the pack, so anything can happen as a car spins out in front in turn number 1. Very easy to do on that curb, but we keep it nice and clean, so we gain a position. We're up to 17th now. And as we come up the hill, we're right behind the BWT car, and we got the kind of a couple of cars in front of them, so we're going to have a little bit of draft.
What are you guys doing, bro?
You can hear this guy Heidi. We're going to come back to him. He has something in this race, but we're going to come back to him later. For now, we're going to concentrate, think about a move up the inside with the BWT, but I don't brake as late as he does. I was still very cautious with the front wheels. Another car spins out in front, so we gain another position. Again, this car is very easy to make mistakes in. No ABS, no traction control, and there's a couple of bumps on this track that you need to kind of go over, like the one just there that you kind of have to go over the curbs there. So very easy to spin this car and very easy to lock a wheel, which will absolutely ruin any momentum you have. So just taking a little bit handy. I was doing about mid 1 minute 7s in practice, so I was okay, happy enough with those times. But right now I think we're doing around 1:08. We're kind of in the pack, which is holding us up a little bit. I don't quite have the momentum or the drive out of this corner, especially after I don't take it very well in this lap. But we're still with the pack, we're still right behind, and all it takes is one good run up the hill and all of a sudden you're going side by side with a car. As you can see, I've fallen back a little bit, so I didn't get a good run up the hill, but we're still within kind of slipstream gap, so we'll see if we can capitalize and keep with them. We've got a pink Porsche behind us who's possibly thinking about a move, but we brake as late as we dare, starting to get a bit more confidence in the tires, and we're on lap number 4, so we should be pretty much warmed up at this stage. Keeping the car now nice and calm and steady over those curbs. coming up towards the last section. We're going to have a bit of a concertina effect coming through these last few corners as cars are having to brake a little earlier just because they're in the nature of being in the pack, and we have a little bit of clear air, so we're catching up to them little by little. Incident ahead, 2 cars collide. We're going to gain 2 more positions there, so right now we're in 16th, but we gained 2 positions, so that should bring us up to 14th as we cross the line to finish lap number 4. Starting lap number 5, braking at our usual braking point, turning in a little bit better than the lap before, although the BWT car gets a pretty good run out there, and he's going to have a nice run up the hill, so we can't capitalize. He was very strong out of that kind of first corner, so we're just trying to hang on to the back of him up the hill. Maybe he was taking a slightly different line or getting on the power a little earlier than I was, a bit more confident in the car, but he definitely was getting a better run out of turn number 1 than I was. You can hear the brakes locking the wheels there as you come over the hump there in the middle of the road, and as we go around on this curb, just very cautious. I don't want to spin the car, but we're hanging with the pack. That pink car that was behind us has now disappeared. He had a lag spike at one stage, and I think he kind of just disappeared and went into the barrier, which kind of meant that he was nowhere near us behind us. We're getting a couple of notifications from the spotter right now that there's potential for rain. I was very worried when I was hearing that because I'd never really raced in the rain. I've done some practice laps, but that was in the Ferrari, and it definitely was not in the Porsche Cup, which has no ABS, so I've never raced this car in the rain. As another car looks like he's gone off, so he might have a compromised run up the hill. So maybe we might gain a position with his run up the hill as we have more momentum, but looks like we're a little bit too far back at this stage, but anything can happen, and we'll see what happens up further the road. So you can see here I'm messing around with the tyres, setting them to be wet tyres if we have to make a stop. If it does start to rain, I want to be ready. I want to come into the pit and not have to be thinking about my tyres. As I wasn't racing anyone coming up the hill, I thought that was a good opportunity to set my tyres to wet tyres. And that was a nice, helpful kind of way to remind myself I'm ready for anything. If anything was to come, like the rain, I'm ready to go. I don't have to worry about setting my tyres. I can concentrate on my pit entry and get in and get out as smoothly as possible. So, coming up to finish lap number 6, we're hanging onto the back of this train. There's a car ran wide. You can see his bumper on the left. That was his front bumper. He's on the right. I'm hoping to get into turn 1 before he does, which we do. He doesn't know it at the time, and you can see it in the replay a little bit, but he runs wide in turn 1. He had broken his steering, so he was probably worse off than he actually thought he was. So I didn't really have to worry about passing him into turn number 1. The BWT car has gotten past this Senna kind of livery car in front. So now we have a different target, but we are right behind them. We are right at the back of this pack. We are currently P14, or 13 after the car went off. So we're doing okay. I was car number 12 coming into this race based on the iRating, so I should be mid-pack is what they're kind of expecting based on my iRating. There were some 4,000 and 3,500 iRating drivers here, so some very fast people, and I would consider myself decently fast. I wouldn't consider myself one of the aliens or anywhere near being an alien speed, but I can hold my own generally speaking, and sometimes hold my own in top split and regularly get somewhat top 5s. But very different case in the Porsche Cup car. Just because it is a much trickier car, the competition level generally is a little higher because the higher strength of fields. This was a 2.6k, so you generally have some pretty fast guys in the top splits, as you can see. We are doing 108s typically, but sometimes when we get a bit of a clear run, we're hitting into the 107s. And I think my fastest lap overall in this race was a 107.2, which was pretty good. I think that included a little bit of slipstream, but yeah, I was pretty happy with that as being my fast lap time. Incident ahead, a couple of cars spinning out. I had to brake, get off the throttle, avoid potentially running into the back of the 2 cars in front, so we gained 2 more positions there. That's going to bump us up to 11th. So just a matter of being consistent, being smooth with the car, and surviving incidents, and just being in the right place at the right time has brought us up the field. We started P17, dropped down to 18 initially, and now we're going to come across the line to finish lap number 8 in P11, and we have 2 cars out in front that we could potentially race and see if we can gain some more positions. So we're doing okay. I was being pretty calm at this point.
We expect light rain soon.
I was being pretty calm until I heard that message. Still, more notifications from the spotter that there might be rain. So I was feeling pretty calm. I was feeling pretty okay with being P11 and potentially more towards the end of this race if we have a few cars out in front and a few cars could spin or crash or anything can happen. So there's potential for a better result or even a top 10, which I was feeling quite happy about. As long as I'm pretty smooth and consistent with my lap times and my driving, which I wasn't taking any unnecessary risks or pushing too hard. I was kind of driving 90 to 95% of my ability. So trying to avoid any silly mistakes. So feeling pretty confident at this stage. A little bit worried about the rain ahead or the potential rain ahead. So hoping we can avoid that or hoping it doesn't come. You never know with iRacing. Wipers start going. At this stage my heart dropped and I was like, oh no, here comes the rain, but it stopped again.
You got no intention of finding your row.
And at this stage I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, if the rain is not coming right this second, it might come soon. And I know I'm ready. I've got my tyres set up to change over to wet tyres. Still in P11, couple of cars out in front, but yeah, just one of those things where I was being a bit cautious and being a bit worried about what could potentially happen, but also trying to just keep it smooth and keep aware that the fact that any mistake can be disastrous in this car. So we're settling into a rhythm. It's on lap number 10, but halfway through this race, give or take a lap or two. So we've settled down. We're definitely in the groove now. Definitely driving within our means, not pushing too hard, not being too aggressive. We are losing a little bit of time to the cars in front, but
Come on, let's
I feel like I could catch up to them a little bit towards the end of the lap. They seemed a bit faster up the hill, and I seemed a bit faster through the kind of last two turns. So as we come through that right-hander, you can see I'm starting to catch up to the Senna livery car now as they've made a couple of little mistakes. Coming through this left-hander, I felt a little faster than the cars in front. You can see I'm starting to gain a little bit of time. Not much, but a little bit. Coming into the right-hander now, into the start-finish straight. Again, feeling pretty good and feeling pretty confident in the car. Not much experience in the P Cup as I have in other cars like the F4 or the Ferrari 296. I've only driven this car in 2 other races and they were around Daytona, and yeah, they were fun races and I quite enjoy racing this car, so I think it'll be something I'm going to try and compete in and race more often. The extra challenge of racing higher split drivers, even top split I've raced in the Ferrari series, is definitely still generally a lower strength of field, so racing a higher strength of field is something I would like to do. I know I'm getting closer and closer to being 2.5 iRating, but 2.5k iRating, but there's always that little niggly question in the back of my mind of, is this just because I'm racing a lot in the Ferrari series and not racing, let's say, the GT series or the Porsche Cup series, or is this because I'm generally around the 2.5, 2.4, 2.5k iRating? Only time will tell. I'm going to keep racing the Ferrari series because I enjoy it, but I'm going to try and implement a bit more Porsche Cup, as there's tracks that I enjoy and tracks I don't necessarily enjoy pop up every now and then. If there's tracks I enjoy, I'm going to jump into the car and see if I can race it more and more, and see if I can get a bit better at racing and get a bit better at my car control. I've heard that if you generally race the Porsche Cup car, you become a better driver overall, so that's something I'm interested in. Again, if you guys have any comments, leave them down below. Any tips that can help me improve racing the Porsche Cup car. I do have haptic reactors on my pedals which help with the vibration and force feedback, so I kind of have a general feel of when the car is sliding in my foot or when the car is locking up. I know you can use sound as well for the wheels locking up, but I like to use the pedals to give me kind of an early warning indicator. If you have any tips on how I can adjust those or get them working to even be better than what I'm using right now, I'd love to hear you. Love to hear all your tips, any comments. If you just enjoy the video, love to hear that too. Any tips on how I can improve the videos as well, just maybe audio tweaks or a couple of different camera angles that you might want, leave them down below as well. Leader just did a 107.2. We're going to come across the line to finish lap number 12, still in P11, but we're doing okay right now. We did a 107.9 pretty much, so still in the 107, so I'm not too displeased with that. I was worried coming into this that I was going to be left behind, but I'm okay. I'm feeling okay about being in P11. Still trying to chase down this Senna livery car. It's kind of getting into that stage of the race where everything is kind of settled down and you're just going to pick a fight with the cars around you. I don't foresee us getting anywhere near, let's say, a top 5 finishing in this race. But if you had given me a P11 at the start of this race, given the fact that I start in P17 and this was a 2.6k iRating strength of field, then I would have taken it and been like, okay, good, that was a decent race. So P11, let's see if we can improve. We've got one car at least in front, and we might be catching the cars in front of us as well, hoping that even if we don't catch them, that the couple of cars out in front, the 3-pack out in front, makes a mistake here and there, and I can potentially catch up with the Senna car. Halfway through this race, we're over halfway through. Race is settling down. Still no sign of the rain. I'm not sure what's going on there. There was definitely a lot of talk, especially at the start of the race, that there would be rain. I know I've got the tyres set up, so I'm not too worried about it, but it's on my mind now. I'm kind of thinking to myself, is the rain ever going to come? Is this just not going to come? Is the forecast not going to be rain? But keep an eye on it and hope that if it does start coming down, we have enough time to dip into the pits and not make mistakes. Again, the spotter now comes up saying that we're going to expect more light rain. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, there's not long left in this race. There's only about 10 laps or so. When's it going to happen? Is it going to happen at the end? And now if it does happen at the end of the race, do you stay out in slicks? Hope it comes. It's supposed to be light rain. So now comes the kind of strategy, kind of gambling part of racing. And I'm trying to think to myself as I'm catching the car in front. So I'm simultaneously trying to balance my kind of brain power right now in generally around driving and trying to catch the car in front and not make mistakes, but also strategy. I'm starting to think more and more strategy. What do I do if it rains in 5 laps time? What do I do if it rains with 2 laps to go? All these different scenarios start running through my head at this stage in the race, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to have to wait and generally see. I have very little experience, so I can't really predict what I'm going to do. So it's kind of going to be flying by the seat of my pants a little bit. But maybe we're going to see when it starts coming down, don't jump the gun too early, because it could just be a light sprinkling. The track may stay relatively dry, and we might be able to get around without having to make a pit stop. And then again, if it does start coming down, let's say in the next lap or two, I might think about doing half a lap or wherever I'm on the track, or a full lap, and just rolling the dice, getting in early, get on the wets, and see if we can capitalize on being on the right tire at the right time. So all these things are going through my head while I'm also trying to drive the car at full speed and trying to catch this yellow car in front, and trying to see if I can force him into either a mistake or get into a point where I can make a move. He is a bit scrappy. We have caught up to him a little bit, and we're right on the tail of his car. We've got slipstream for going up the hill, so I just got to make sure that this right-hander is better than his right-hander. So again, not the greatest, but we'll take it. It's okay. He has pulled away slightly, but we're going to catch up to him with the slipstream. Slipstream wasn't as powerful as I would have liked coming up the back straight here, but it is what it is, and we're just got to live with it, and we're going to hope that we can do better through turn 1 next time. He's already going a little defensive, hanging to the right side of the track, but he's looking in his mirrors, realising I'm probably a little too far back, so he goes back onto the racing line. Coming to the right-hander again, I'm starting. He runs a little wide here, so I'm trying to get the car turned in, trying to trail brake more and more, trying to get on the power earlier than he does, but we're kind of around the same time we get on the power, it seems. The gap has kind of stayed the same, despite him running wide in that corner. But we're noting that, as we do in every race, we note what the other car is doing and see where he is weak, where they are strong, where might they be making mistakes. As you can see there, he has made a mistake. He has run wide, missing the apex, and then has a slide coming out of the last corner. So perhaps if we put them under a lot of pressure coming up to the last corner, they might make that mistake again. Coming through turn number 1, I make a slight mistake. Back end tried to go around me, but we catch it. Wasn't a big moment, but enough to slow us down. You can see on the kind of time difference relative on the dashboard, we're in the red now. We're a little slower than our fastest lap time, but we have slipstream again, and we're catching up to this yellow car. He's going defensive again. He's on the right side of the track. We are catching him faster this time than we were in the last lap, so we're going to hang it around the outside if we can, brake as late as we dare. A little later than he did. Trying to get the car to come back around, trying to get on the power early, tried to do a little bit of a switchback, but it's not really a corner to do a switchback just because it's not really sharp enough and it's a long, fast right-hander. But we're right on the back of him now, coming up to this left-hander. Can we put him under pressure to force him into a mistake? We are a little tighter on the apex, clipping the curb. He misses the curb. Coming up to this right-hander where he made a mistake the last time. He's missed the apex by about 3 or 4 feet, and we're putting him under pressure. Again, from my last video when I talked about putting people under pressure and what you need to do. So I'm trying to fill his mirrors. I'm trying to be a menace and just be a pain and keep him realizing I'm right behind him. Right now we might have a bit of a better run up the hill because he's made a little bit of a mistake. He hasn't got as good a run. We have the slipstream. So we're trying to be a menace. We're trying to keep his mirrors full of our car and make sure he's aware that we're there at all stages, because the more he drives in his mirrors, the more mistakes they are likely to make. He's gone defensive. We've got a much better run here now. We're going to pull out as late as we dare. Coming up to the bump now, we're going to brake possibly a little early. He comes around, he braked a little earlier than us. We're going to go for a little bit of a switch back again, get on the power as early as I can, but the car doesn't want to rotate. On the power, we're even closer than we were on the last lap. The switchback did not work again. I thought about a move here. I was really thinking about it, but did not feel confident on the brakes and did not feel confident running side by side. Car tried to go switcheroo. The back end tried to go ahead of the front end of the car there. So we lose a little bit of time. Just a very tricky little moment, a little bit too much on the brakes, and we have lost a little bit of momentum. Lap 18, we're getting close towards the end of the race. No more mentions of rain. It has got a bit darker. The clouds have come in. The sky has got a little bit darker, but no mention of rain for a few laps now. So perhaps we are not going to get rain by the end of this race, and perhaps we can stay on the tyres. It seemed like at this stage in the race as well, my tyres were a little bit better than Leonardo's in front, and it seemed like I was able to manage my tyres a little bit better on the early stage of the race because I felt like I had more grip on the corners than he did. I just was not able to capitalise with that grip through turn number 1. Trying to force him into an error here, trying to go around the outside, wasn't working. Tried to go back again for the switchback, which didn't work previously, but we're trying to go as quickly as we can. Get a slow car on our right, get the spotter's notification, and then he comes flying across to the left for whatever reason, trying to slow us up. It looked like a bit of a block at the time. I was worried about that. It really seemed a very late move and a very late lunge for a defensive move, so it kind of felt like a block. And now we've got a car right behind us. We are up into the top 10, but we have a car right behind us. That was Heidi, the person on the radio from earlier. Heidi now is going to send one up the inside as late as he dares, and I was really worried he was going to hit us here. So, as you can see, he slides through in turn 1. I've got a bit of a better drive, going to try and keep it around the outside. Or on the inside, sorry. I lifted here because I wanted to give him space. We did touch a little bit. It was a 0x. I had to lift to avoid an accident. And here we go. Rain coming, perhaps? But nope. Wipers turn off again. But yeah, about 2 laps to go. Heidi is now our main target for P10. And I was very, very worried about racing Heidi at this stage. I had seen that Heidi was pretty quick. So I knew my best opportunity now was to force Heidi into a mistake and potentially into an error as they're recovering from a previous error. So that was pretty much my only strategy. You can see Heidi was pretty quick. He's dropping us pretty quickly here, and I'm trying to keep up with him, and at the same time trying to keep my race nice and clean. Bit of understeer coming through the last corner, which is going to compromise us. My only goal, or my only hopes right now, as we come onto the second to last lap, I believe, or the last third lap, I'm not exactly sure, but my only hope right now is that Leonardo can hold him up, or potentially they tangle and then I can gain 2 positions. But I did not feel confident with Heidi, especially after that move where Heidi swung across to the left and really looked like a blocking maneuver, almost like a Forza type maneuver. I was very worried coming into turn 1 that they were just going to lock a wheel, send it as late as they dare from a kind of frustration and lock a wheel. You saw Heidi did almost lose the back end coming out of the corner, and I was probably better off just letting him go, because it could have been a pretty bad accident if I had gone side by side and he had spun or kind of slid the car into me. So yeah, just one of those things where I thought better of it, thought, you know, I'm in a decent enough position, I'm happy enough to take a P11 if I have to. But one of those things where I was just a little bit frustrated now at this stage of the race, where I had an opportunity for a P10, and I still potentially have an opportunity for a P10, but I was in a much better position 2 or 3 laps ago.
7.3.
You can see now, did it 1.7 or 107.3, so doing a fast lap, a few levels are burning off, it's getting lower. We're trying to keep up with the two cars in front, and right now I'm just kind of watching, seeing what happens with these two. Kind of a backseat driver right now, or kind of a spectator to see what's going to happen towards the end of this race. They're going to be fighting into this right-hander coming up. Leonardo goes defensive. I'm watching to see if they tangle, if Leonardo goes a little too deep and runs into him, but he doesn't. You can see Heidi gets it around the outside. Really good move by Heidi. He was definitely fast, and you could tell by the qualifying pace that Heidi had. He was doing very low 1:07s, and that's without any slipstream. Whereas when I do low 1:07s, it's with slipstream. So back onto the back now of Leonardo. He runs a little wide. I'm getting a nicer run up towards the last corner again, trying to get out as late as I can on the power as early as I can. Last lap, we don't really have much opportunities. We only really have 2 opportunities left to get past. Turn number 1 is not going to be an opportunity, so that's not one of the 2. But if we can get a good run up the hill towards that long straight with the slipstream, can we get past? We have 2 cars up in front. Potentially, if somebody makes a mistake or if something else happens, we're definitely not getting rain at this stage, so there was no point worrying about that. But can we get the slipstream on Leonardo? Unfortunately, Leonardo has a slipstream from Heidi, which is helping him. So it's going to be a very last-ditch effort as Leonardo thinks about a move here, compromises his entry into the corner, and I'm on the power as early as I can, still on the back of these 2, hoping that potentially someone sends it up the inside, goes for a lunge. I'm thinking about a move here, really thinking about it, but do I go for it? Do I not go for it? And I brake early. I was just thinking to myself, it's not worth it. Can we get a decent run out of the last corner and get a place over the line? Blinker out in front, hoping that that would have helped us gain a position, but he comes back into the race just to be able to cross the line. We're going to cross the line. It's a P11, kept it nice and clean, kept it pretty consistent. I'll take that any day. So we're going to go to the results and see how that has affected everything, and see how that has affected our overall rating, as our spotter tells us we need more testing. So to the results, as I said, it was a P11, qualified P17, so we gained a bunch of positions. Pretty happy with that, especially for my only 3rd ever Porsche Cup race. I'll take that. Top split, strength of field was 2.6k, so a pretty strong strength of field. We do have 0 incidents for the race, and we had 0 in qualifying, so we go double green. We get a 0.1 extra on our safety rating, so we are still on target to get promoted to A license in sports car by the end of the season. And we gained 12 I rating, so we're still on target for a 2.5k overall I rating. If you like this video, guys, give it a like. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave them down below in the comment section. And if you want to see more, I'd love for you to subscribe. It'd be great, so click that button too, and I hope to see you in the next video.
Subscribe to Racing Respite, let the chaos unwind. A sanctuary of silence where your soul realigns. It's that button, feel the call, let the world drift away. Racing Respite's calling, join the escape. It's today.